I'm gonna cast a spell that will instantly make you feel old. Interstellar came out over a decade ago. Christopher Nolan's Interstellar is a sci-fi epic, really the only film to ever rival Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey in terms of sheer ambition and ability to dazzle viewers with its depiction of space travel. But in my most recent rewatch, it wasn't the incredible visuals, not Cooper's intergalactic quest to save humanity, or the immaculate score that impressed me. No, the thing that stood out to me was one side character. Tom. Despite being the son of the protagonist and the brother to the super genius that would eventually save humanity, Tom is portrayed as an arrogant farmer who refuses to let doctors treat his family and ignores all warnings to relocate underground, putting his wife, child, and himself in immediate danger. At least, that's what the film portrays him as. Just a dimensionless cutout, meant to represent all the ignorance of the common man in this world. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll begin to realize the sparse shading Nolan gave him is more than plenty to make Tom a multi-dimensional character.
They are beings of 5 dimensions.
But before we can understand Tom, we first need to understand the world he lives in. Years before Tom was even born, a disease called the Blight killed most of Earth's crops. In fact, things got so bad that governments were bombing their own starving citizens, and robot soldiers waged wars over dwindling resources.
I got grunts like you mowing my grass.
So many people died that kids of the next generation, Tom's generation, can't even conceive that there used to be 6 billion people on the Earth.
Just try to imagine that.
No, after humanity came so close to extinction, they devoted all their energy into one thing: survival. Technology came to a standstill as all resources went into farming and repopulation.
You be nice to that Miss Hanley. She's single.
This is the world Tom is born into. A world where one of the brightest engineers, his father, Cooper, uses old military drone tech to now power combines.
I'm gonna give it something socially responsible to do. Like drive a combine.
Where medical machines that could have saved the life of Tom's mother are now deemed unnecessary. While Cooper might not be the most attentive father, he drills into Tom self-reliance and responsibility.
You gotta figure it out. I'm not always gonna be here to help you.
But Tom takes after his grandfather, while his sister, Murphy, inherits Cooper's ambition. To Tom, the most important thing is to put food on the table and ensure humanity survives by starting a family of his own. And Tom's not just okay with that. It's what he wants to do.
I like what you do. I like our farm.
When Cooper takes off on his daring mission to find a new home for humanity, Murph has a mental breakdown. She refuses to even send him off. But for Tom, Cooper simply gives him a hug and tells him to look after the farm. This mantle of responsibility falls on Tom's shoulders, and he bears it well. He graduates second in his class, despite teachers giving up on him. He takes over the farm. He marries and starts a family. He cares for his aging grandfather. Meanwhile, Murphy remains traumatized by their father's leaving. She's reckless. She crashes her grandfather's car, abandons the family to go work on research in some underground facility, rarely returning back to the farmhouse, back to her family. As Tom gets older, he keeps hope in his father, in the mission, still sending messages out into space, despite no reply for decades. It's after the loss of not only his grandfather, but his firstborn child, that he finally gives up on Cooper, on anybody coming to save him.
I guess I'm letting you go. Bye.
This is the Tom you see here. Murphy has returned, finding Tom burning 1/3 of his crops, worrying how he'll provide for his family. While eating dinner, Murph notices Coop, Tom's second child, has developed a cough. While Tom is away, she tells his wife, Lois, that there's a doctor that could see her son. Lois nods, but before she can say anything, Tom returns carrying a bottle of booze, suggesting that while Lois may want this for her child, Tom won't allow it. Murphy, for perhaps the first time in her adult life, actually takes an interest in her family, and while her motives appear quite benevolent to the audience, to Tom, she's undermining his household, Why would Tom have any hope of a doctor doing anything besides telling him to abandon his home, his work, his hope, all to starve to death in some bunker? He was raised to believe that if he kept putting food on the table, had children of his own, then everything would work out. It's this responsibility that he clutches onto, because without it, all that would be left is despair. So when Tom comes back home from working his field sometime later and discovers Murphy with a doctor who says,
Let me make something abundantly clear. You have a responsibility.
Tom snaps, decks the doctor, tells them to leave. What do they know of responsibility? Not a doctor whose treatments failed to save his first child, and certainly not Murph. After all, what reason has Murphy ever given Tom to trust her? If the person he looked up to most, his father, couldn't save him, what future could Murphy possibly give his family, besides a slow death of starvation underground? Shortly after Murphy leaves, Tom notices a fire breaking out in his crops and rushes out to deal with it. When he returns, covered in ash and soot, he finds his family in the back of Murphy's car, the doctor holding a tire iron, ready to fight Tom to take his loved ones away from him. But before things escalate, Murphy runs up to him, holding an old broken watch, and says,
It was him. All this time, I didn't know it was him. His head's gonna save us.
She embraces her brother, a smile heavy with relief. The camera pans, and freeze frame. What do you see? Is this the face of a man ready for violence? On the verge of locking his family up in his home so they can never leave? No. This is the look of pure exhaustion. His sister has completely lost it, rambling about how their father, whom they haven't seen in decades, is talking to her through a watch. This is the last we see of Tom. We don't know if he chose to go with Murphy, or if his family abandoned him for the safety of the bunkers. I would like to believe if he survived long enough for Murphy to figure out how to get humanity off Earth, he would have gone. Although, there is a cut line from the script where Tom says, "I'm a farmer, Murph. You don't give up on Earth." It was cut for a good reason, that line is stinky. My headcanon is that Tom is the old man in the beginning of the film, and Lois is one of the old women. In conclusion, Tom isn't a villain. He's not even a dumb redneck. He's just trying to be the best man he knows how to be, despite both literal and figurative dust storms berating him the second he took his first breath. And while he was wrong in the end, now listen to Murphy, doctors, even his wife's own wishes, I want you to ask yourself, after looking at the world through his eyes, is Tom still just an abusive, arrogant farmer? Or is he simply just a flawed man in an impossible situation? Well, that's up for you to decide.